Okay, we are coming to the end of the Soulful Awakening Festival, the last day, which usually is this place where you're like, okay, I'm at the end. I'm so glad we've created this spot to bring some of the practitioners and the conversation of their sessions back. So you leave here even filled with more excitement and awareness. Today we're going to have a panel conversation with these 5 amazing practitioners, and I'm going to allow them just to introduce themselves and just say maybe what your session was, so that people that are watching later are able to connect you back to your session. Maybe even share what day your session was on. So let's start with Velva Dawn, or who you are, right?
Okay, so my name is Velva Dawn Silver, and my session was Saturday morning at 9:30, and it was about unlocking authentic love. So it's balancing the divine feminine and the divine masculine within yourself, which unlocks those qualities within.
Beautiful, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi everybody, I'm Natasha Mott. I was quite lucky to do a few sessions. So I did a third eye activation with David yesterday, and we also did an ancestral clearing. And today I did a past life regression meditation for everybody and taught them the techniques of being able to see past lives as well as seeing auras as well.
Super fun.
So my name is Robin Devine, and my session was not too long ago, like just early afternoon today on Sunday. And we talked about how to boost your immunity with your lymphatic system and how to help with everything that's currently going on and work with your own immune system. So,
Nice.
I'm Pamela Roger. We didn't have my session this session because of close contact. I have been a studio potter, artist, clay builder for 45 years, and I've come up with a couple of different areas where you can make vessels from different shapes of your body, and eventually it becomes a sacred vessel for you to be able to then use in your practice. So it's kind of an earth, fire, wind thing. It'll happen. We'll do it.
My name is David Montgomery. Our sessions with Natasha was yesterday. We did the third eye activation in the old school way with Isis, and later that day we did the ancestral healing and clearing. And that was with a lot of energy work and the light language.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. So I'm just going to jump in with some questions that, hopefully will pull out some deeper conversations about what you guys do and what you bring to the world. And, for me, thinking of all the different segments of awakening that happen over the years for each of us, right? We've all been doing this journey of awakening for a long time. And, I know for myself, there's these segments of change and growth and things. And is there a common thread that you see in yourself in the experiences that allows you to get to the other side of the wobble, right? Because there's always a catalyst that puts us into, I need to grow. But there's always something that's very common through the segments of your life. So, can you guys speak to that? What is that thread for you that keeps you going past the wobble to the next spot? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Yeah.
For me personally, I think when I boil it down, it comes, I think, down to 2 things. Honest humility and vulnerability, and the willingness to step into both of those. And I think just about everybody on this path has come, up against that wall where even coming in and doing this weekend, facing a huge wall of vulnerability and putting themselves out there in this way. And with that, or perhaps even before the vulnerability is coming into the place of just true humility, of really looking at ourselves from an ego perspective and really taking inner stock. Where am I truly coming from? Why am I truly doing this? Why am I here? And you know, asking those inner questions and being really honest with yourself. And, you know, sometimes the answers that come true are a little shocking. And that's where that humility has to come in and go, yeah, you know what, there was a lot of ego in this, why I wanted to do this. And along with that humility is the honesty to go, you know what, that's okay, I'm human. We're all human. We're all dealing with that. Recognize it and go, you know what, I don't want to come from this place. You know, really why I'm here is because I want to serve. So I'm going to step into that. I'm moving in because I want to serve. So.
Thank you, that's beautiful.
I absolutely agree, and it's one of those things that I think we all sort of start somewhere where we feel comfortable, and then I know for myself at least, it was recognizing that you can't master it all. And so it's that understanding of this is what I'm truly passionate about, but realizing that it's not the end of it. Like there's always something new to learn, and how they all intertwine is kind of this like amazing puzzle that you get to play, and realizing that there's always more pieces. You're never truly finished figuring out how everything intertwined. I started extremely scientific, and what you learn is that if you don't take into consideration the emotional, the energy pieces, the past lives, you don't take into consideration, you're missing so much. And you end up just holding back for yourself, but also for those that you're trying to help. So it just keeps you wanting to go further and keep wanting to learn more. It keeps it so much more exciting. So.
Love that, thank you.
For me, it's the aspect of you brought up curiosity. And it's always remaining curious. What is the opportunity that is representing itself right now? And I think for us, it's learning to completely love ourselves, but it's not only unconditional love towards ourselves, but radical acceptance. And I think a lot of us try to shy away from the darker sides of ourselves. We try and move through this, oh, I'm sitting in this vibration, oh, I can't, I need to move up through it. But it's really understanding, why am I going through here? What is the opportunity for soul growth, for expansion, and for moving through this, and being, I think, gentle and, as I say, working through it, not past it, because it is rainbows and sunshine. Once you've weathered through the storm, you have to go through it. That is why there are rainbows and sunshine at the end of it. But we're getting to know ourselves better in different situations. And when we do get to know ourselves better, we get to understand others better as well.
Beautiful.
I think.
Yeah. Velva Dawn?
I absolutely agree with that. And that's what I always say, is that the wisdom is gained in the valley, not at the top of the mountain, right? And we go through those painful experiences because that's where we learn how to move through them, right? And the one thing I want to speak to with everybody out there is I never had anxiety until, I went through my divorce and my own health issue. And so I had to learn how to move through anxiety myself, which gives me more compassion to my clients and to people that I connect with, because I've gone through that, so I actually can understand it. And it makes me more compassionate and vulnerable, to be that person that understands. You've walked through those shoes, you understand, right? So I 100% agree with you that, it is sunshine and rainbows for a pause, right? And up, back down into the valley again, and you grow and you become more vulnerable. And it's the most beautiful gift, I think, that I've ever experienced in my life. Yeah.
I think I totally agree with you on that, but I never ever went into the valley. It was more the shamanic death, all on, all off. And that was the place that if you do that in a lifetime so many times, eventually you have to pause, or you hit the wall and you haven't chosen life, but life chose you.
Yeah.
So as the artist that goes up and down, I had to find a place that was going to be somehow a central place that I thought the normal people were working from. So I looked at all of you and I thought, ooh, these are the normal ones. Try and pretend this. So at some point, I'd be more than willing to talk about addiction and the journey that can lead us to, and also just the very spirit of addictions. but mine was always hit a wall, get up, dust yourself off, try a new educational system.
Thank you. You know, it's fascinating to hear there is a thread within all of you, actually, of what propels you to the next, like you said, the valley, the mountain, the wall, past the, into the humility, in the deep honesty, past the ego, past the place into the next learning. Velva Dawn, in your bio, I think it talked about, courage beyond the comfort. Right? Being willing to be courageous past the comfort that you feel. And I can hear that in all of this too, is this place of getting really comfortable being uncomfortable. So I think that's something that all of us share with, the people that come into our practices, or that we talk with, or that we're in life with, is that's probably the thing that pulls us all to the next place, is we're all really okay now. The discomfort is actually a gift, and it's really lovely. I know, Robin, when you were talking, I hear lots of people will say, I just want to get to the end. I just want to get to the end, right? I just want to figure it out today. That's it. I want to do this one thing, and then I'm done. I've got it. And I loved what you said. It's such an encouragement to people to understand that there's always so much more. And I think that once we get past that really tumultuous part, it's a little less. It's a little less. And so then it grows into this mastery becomes a daily life experience, right? Yeah, so wonderful. Do you guys have anything else you want to add or talk to on this? All right. So one of the things I hear a lot in conversation amongst practitioners and, people moving into awakening. I hear this along the way of, I am the teacher and I am the student. And one thing I've noticed is when you embrace that, there's this reciprocity of experience. When you allow yourself to know that you're equal to the person standing beside you, you just have an awareness they don't know yet. This thing happens where you grow, they grow. And really, as for myself as a consultant, I never see the people that come to me as being in any position less than me. And I can see, you all feel the same. So, I would like to explore with you guys some of those moments as students that have impacted you. The mentors that we've worked with, you talked about the shamanic work that you've done, and we all have had mentors and teachers. And also some of those moments where you've seen someone completely impacted by who you are when they've come to you. So if you guys can speak to some of that, to allow people to understand that we are all in this together, and you're just showing up in the space with somebody who you're meant to know today. David, you're going to go first? You seem like the first one. You're the first.
See if there's any verbiage for this answer. I don't know. When you truly embody that humility and you stand in front of somebody, there isn't a me better or you better. There's no up or down. You're just meeting another aspect of you. You're meeting another aspect of God. There's a reflection back and forth. And, it's hard to describe in the work that I do when I'm in front of someone and I'm connecting with them, when I deliver a light language message for them, because it's truly a soul-to-soul connection. The person just disappears. It's like there isn't a person here. There's another vibration that is this soul vibration. It is unique. We are both unique, but we're both the same. We're both from the same place. We're both on the same journey. And when we truly embody that, there's really nothing but love for this being, because, and for all of us, when you really sit back and go, you know what? I know that life is hard. This place, Earth, is hard. This is a tough place. We all can agree on that. And yet here we all are, And even in that, there's so much love in just recognizing you're here. You're on this journey. We're all on this journey together. And just that level of acceptance. And it literally so many times it brings tears to people.
Yeah.
And also to myself, because you're bypassing the mind, you're bypassing any beliefs, and you're just seeing what is, within yourself and within this other being and soul.
It's so beautiful, and I can feel that, all of us here, and everybody can feel that in you, that the tearing, it's like this essence of weeping in love, right? And how beautifully you articulated that, thinking you didn't have the language for it.
Found it.
Right? Right, as we stand with those souls that stand before us for whatever reason, when we get to that place, and I think that's what we all desire for everybody, is to get to that place where even once you feel that. Because if you feel it once, you can feel it many, many times.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Does anybody else want to share about their experiences as a teacher or as a student? Or?
I think I'm the grandmother in the room. And so what 70 years does is give the full picture of perspective. And the occurring thing that happened was when Mike and Tracy met me, and I started to tell stories of the different experiences that we had over the years and the different groups that we had been participants as well as actors, performers. And I knew that it was like Calgary had gone quiet, and Earth Medicine Co-op and Sacred Space Theatre, and that they were all gone, and they were big catalysts for people. So to have everybody reunited is really fresh for me, but it was also a reflection because I'd put all that sort of behind me, and I knew that I didn't have clients or people who sought me out deliberately to answer a question, but it did also happen with no plan. I had somehow put the intentions out there, and people who needed urns, people who needed something in memory, it was coming back to me. So all those years of training, education with all the different areas, it became a living fact. And so as I watch all of you now as the young people holding this, I am the grandmother that's slowly closing down all those lessons and bringing them back inside into a happy, quiet, peaceful life. But it's so exhilarating to see the joy and the vibration that all of you put out.
Oh my gosh, right? I just want to pause in that. I just want to pause in that in the sense that as you're describing that, this experience of the ripple that you created in the exploration that you have done in your life, and now you get to be in this beautiful reflection, how all of us here can imagine what our reflecting will be in 20 years or 30 years or even a year from now, when we take in that awareness that you do the work and it ripples out, and those things shut down, but they didn't, because they were rippling underneath, and look what's happening. Just truly thank you. Yeah.
So speaking of grandmothers, my grandmother was my biggest influence in the spiritual world. I was so lucky to be born into a family that was open, and I'd sit and I'd have conversations with her as a 9-year-old and ask her all these weird and wonderful questions, and she always explained it to me in a way that made sense, not to my mind but in my soul. It just resonated. A lot of that information just resonated within me because it gave me a different perspective. And you spoke about perspectives and filters earlier, and that's such a huge thing. And that's one of the biggest things that I now teach my students is question everything. And if it doesn't resonate, ask again. And if it still doesn't resonate, try and find the answers yourself. I use the Akashic Records, so it's a bit of a cheat because it's like the Google. The Akashic Records, I see it as the Google of the spiritual world. So if you're wanting to make an informed decision on anything, on your soul's blueprint, it's one of those things. But it's one of those, as a teacher, is teaching people to think for themselves, teaching people to question, teaching people to find the answers within them, because as you say, this knowledge is all within us. If we look, we've lived so many lives. We've lived the information that we need right now. So it's really us as teachers is just reminding students, just like my grandmother reminded me of the information that just resonated. It's just reminding our students, and not only that, wanting to see them excel in their own way, showing them how they can put all the experiences that they've had in their lifetime together, because we're always on purpose. Purpose is a windy road, so it's looking at why has your soul chosen all of this in order to bring you to this moment and then to help others. So yeah, basically those are my influences, and that's how I still carry that tradition on into, question everything.
I've heard you say this before, actually, the other day when we did our interview. We are always on purpose. I adore that. You know, it gives this peace for all of us, for everybody to understand that no matter where you are, on whatever space within your experience, you are on purpose. There's nothing you have to do or be or become. You are already. That's, thank you. Robin, Velva Dawn, do you guys have anything you want to add?
I do. Yeah. So a lot of it resonates with everything you've all said. When I was in Hawaii one of the first times, there was a piece of art, and it was by John Petrie, and it was called The Circle of Life. And we all come from the flame of divinity, and we all go back to that flame, and it's hanging in my dining room. And I often refer back to that. And when I wrote my book, the Divine Feminine had said it's time to break down the old systems that religion has put into place. We all come from the same place, and we all go back to the same place. And we need to remember that we're all equal and that we're all flowing back. So when you say that, that's my true belief too in the work that I do with the goddesses, is that we all know it's already within us. It's about awakening and unlocking that wisdom, the healing, and the information. It doesn't matter what system we're using. That system will resonate and vibrate with the person that it's supposed to, and they will be called to the teachers that they are guided to. But that's the main key that I always say too, is if whatever I say doesn't resonate, let it go in one ear and out the other ear. Choose what vibrates with you. That's a good teacher. It's somebody who allows you to look within yourself for the answer rather than give you all the answers. So, yeah.
Thank you. There's 7 billion people or something like that in our world. It would not make sense for us to all choose the same way of knowing. And it's so magnificent that there's so many people that we can resonate in frequency with or not with. Sometimes those teachers come in and out, and, sometimes those students come in and out. Some are with you forever. It would be weird, like really weird and odd to think that with 7 billion some people on the planet, there would be only one way, right? Thank you. Robin.
Well, for myself at least is, I come from a massage therapy background, so very science, very touchy-feely, and I fell into the lymphatics by accident. At least that's what we all thought at the beginning, right? So, but it was exactly that. That was exactly what resonated for me. And I haven't been able to, nor do I want to, get out of that for the last 15 years. What I found probably the most powerful from my mentors and working with, doctors and with osteopaths is the ability to trust what you feel. And, in massage, it's all about, you can palpably feel it. And lymphatics it's like an invisible waterways that for the longest time have just been seen as the impossible. And so, we come from that science background where you're like, you can't see energies, you can't see chakras, you can't see auras, you can't see any of this stuff. And the lymphatics, for me at least, is like that. And so I was very blessed to work with an instructor and a mentor who, he was that black sheep in the science world of being able to feel something that nobody else could feel. And I was like, I can't do this. There's just no way. None of my colleagues can do this. How can I do this? And he goes, well, why can't you? Because if you can feel blood and you can feel muscle and you can feel this. And so being able to just shut off that part of your brain saying that things that are impossible aren't really impossible. It's you that is holding yourself back. And so now when I'm able to teach and share this with therapists all around the world, it's that ability to just say, you know, what are you feeling? And why can't you feel that? If you see colors in the waters that flow in the lymph, that's great. Your lymph is 96% water. And we all know what happens with energy and with stress and with thoughts around the power of what happens within the water molecules. So with every intention, you're creating that feedback to yourself. So the ability to feel that and to trust the resonance of what's coming back to you is just, it's like the gift that just keeps on giving, which is just perfect. So, yeah.
It's beautiful. I like how everyone on the panel has a different access into their awareness, you know, a different access into the connection of your essence experience that you're sharing with other people. I just want to try a little thing. So I know that I have been completely altered into this space of like we can all feel right now by working with somebody. So I just want you guys to just take a breath and think of, you know, somebody who's come into your space to work with you, that you work with, a student, a client, however you want to picture that. Anyone who's been at the festival, right? The people we're in communication with. And just bring into your space what that feels like to see them, see what you have seen in yourself and the things you've been saying. And if you could all just share like one word or a phrase that you can share with everybody of what it's like for you when you see in them recognizing themselves. Yeah. Let's start with you instead of David this time. Let's start with Natasha.
For me, it's that aha moment that gives them joy. It's that permission to be themselves. Like I told a client once, she's like, I don't have to be nice to everyone. And I was like, no, you don't. You need to be nice. The one person that you really need to be nice to is to yourself. Right? And she was like, but I don't, and some people are like, can I? And whenever somebody says, why can't you? It's exactly the same thing. It's like, can you? But it's that utmost, that it gives me so much joy when it just clicks, because it just becomes a synchronicity that we're feeling in this energy exchange. And like what Robin was saying, it's kind of like we only see 1%. This is 1% of what's really happening around us. Absolutely. There was more than one word.
No, it's really great.
And I would even add to that, for me at least, when people come in, and most of the time they've been shut down by the majority of the medical world. That's what my practice is I'm the last ditch effort that most people are trying within the medical system, if you want to call it that. And I love being able to create that safe space to recognize that what they are feeling is true and it's there, and that just because they've been told no 1,000 times doesn't mean that it's not true. So I love creating that safe space. That's for me.
As an only child, I always thought of myself as an isolationist. I like being isolated. And my studio does that for me. I have a job right now that I do at the ranch where I'm doing these stepping stones for people. And most of the stepping stones are in memory of someone. So in my isolation, I think, I can take care of myself, everything's good. But these people enter into my life and they say, will you build a stone in memory of? And I say, yes. And then I get all these messages, and it's not me, that I then say to the people. And how did you know that? I don't know. It's not me. How did you know to do that for? I don't know. It's from him. It's from her. And what a gift to hold a family's heart during their grief, to be on the outside, but still have that little window. I am not a part of your family, so I can stand outside and say, there, it's all right.
Sure, why not?
Totally.
You answered the question in your own way. That's perfect.
Beautifully, beautifully.
When I connect with someone, like I was talking about, like really deeply, that soul-to-soul connection really, I mean, that's the holiest of holies. And honestly, it's really hard to describe. It's beyond gratitude, because you're looking at, you know, for most people, it's the first time they've like truly been seen, and they know it, and that's why the tears come up. And there's nothing for me, like that's it. That's the golden crown, and it's incredibly sacred. It's just sacred, you know, to see somebody recognize that and accept it, to accept that they're being seen, they are seen, and they see you. So yeah, gratitude, unbelievable gratitude.
And that's why you went first, because that's part of, you know, the one thing that Oprah always says is that all people want is to be heard and to be seen. And that is exactly, you know, when I worked in the hospital for 15 years before I did this work, it was all scientific, right? And then when I started doing this work and connecting with people, that's when I started watching, you know, my counselors constantly telling me there's no such thing, Velva Dawn, as unconditional love. And I said, yes, there is. And I tell her that every time I go in. And I know there is. And I feel like we're holding space for unconditional love for the entire planet. And so you're right, it is that holy space when, you know, a woman comes and into my course and she hasn't loved herself her whole life. And, you know, I see her and hold her space very genuinely, and see from the perspective and hold that vibration until she sees that, and seeing her recognize that in herself and change her life and stand in her power and find her throat chakra and speak her truth. There is no greater gift that I've ever felt in the world, to see someone else experience that shift in their life. And no job, no amount of money could ever give me, I guess, the gift that I've seen in holding space with another individual and believing in them until they believe in themselves. So,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
So the reason I really wanted to query this for everybody is because often in transformation, along the way, we are afraid of the judgment that's going to come when we don't do the thing that we think we're supposed to do, that the teacher said we should do. Or we're afraid of how we're going to be seen by those who have come before us. And it's something for me, I have such reverence for those that have done the work before me and for the people that are doing the work with me. And I just wanted to query this for everybody so that people can understand that in the transformation with these people, with you, with the people in the Soulful Awakening Festival, with the people that truly resonate with you, there is never a spot where you are judged, where you are criticized. There is only this place of love. And we feel it from all of you, this beautiful place where you see the gift in seeing another person know themselves, truly see themselves when they've never done that. And, you know, thank you all for just being truly open with that and genuine, because there's so many people that are going to be watching this that are just beginning. And they can't even fathom this space of love that we're all sitting in here. And I wanted to give them an opportunity to understand that that's where we hold them. It's just truly in this awareness that they're beautiful exactly as they are. And you know, when you can't fathom it, when you're in the beginning and you think everybody's going to think I'm not okay, just pause and feel this. And we're all here. We're all here. Do you have any questions that have come in that you...
I have a perfect question, actually.
Perfect.
After this is, it actually comes from me. Like one thing
I love your perfect. It's perfect.
I just act as old form. I just want to ask everybody, because I think it almost ties in what we just talked about, is what does awakening mean to you? And I know this is like a loaded question, but Just
10 words or
like
less.
really
No.
try
It's a beautiful question.
yeah, because with the title of the festival and just what you just talked about, I kind of would be interested in that.
All right, who wants to start with what awakening means to you? Go, Natasha.
I'll go. So what awakening means to me is when we start discovering that there's more to life than waking up, going to work, getting a salary, coming home. And you start realizing that we are really souls having a physical experience, that we're all intuitive, that we all are gifted. We always have been, it's just been suppressed. When you start looking at that, what's behind the physical, you start questioning your life. Is there more? That is the first steps of the awakening aspect that I think it is.
Thank you.
Okay.
Velva Dawn.
Who's going to go?
So I think that opened the door for me too, was realizing that it's not just, the job and how much money you make, but it's actually feeling like in my soul and my heart. And when I started to really feel people, I remember when I first started working, I would hold a crystal in my hand, and because I was scientific, I was like, well, let's weigh this crystal after we take it off the chakra, because I couldn't feel it in my hand. And I thought I couldn't wait to be awake enough so that I could feel the vibration of the crystal in my hand. Now not only can I feel it, but I can feel people's chakras, and I can feel inside their bodies. And that was the moment of awakening, was this is what it feels like to be alive. It's to drive in the valley in the Okanagan and see the crops and feel the frequency of the growth and the lushness. And to feel to that depth is the awakening that you can never go back, like the bungee cord, right?
Yeah.
It's like you can't go back through the door, you won't fit.
Yeah.
Your energy is too big. And the more you walk forward and the higher frequency that you emit, the quantum field feeds that. And it's the most beautiful thing in the world.
I love what you're talking about. I actually, have done your all of your beautiful courses, and I was talking about the scientific part of measuring the crystals the other day, and I was talking about that with somebody who had no idea about crystals, and it was this step for them. And it's so beautiful what you said. You couldn't wait to get to the place where you could feel them. So that's where that curiosity comes in the awakening for all of us, right? Oh, here's this cool thing. There's a crystal. Somebody says it does something. I'm gonna measure it scientifically, which is so expansive. But the next step is in the awakening, I'm curious what's next. I want to feel it, right? And now just what comes. Thank you. David?
Yes, that's a loaded question. I think it's going to be individual for
Absolutely.
7.8 billion people.
Yeah.
And that's the unique journey, because it is going to be individual for each person. For me, I think what it could come down to is, where am I in this moment right now? What is my relationship to this moment? Mm-hmm. Like, how much of me is right here, and how much of me is willing to be present right here, even if it's uncomfortable? That's awakened for me.
Yeah.
And to be okay with that, and to be able to sit with being happy and being sad simultaneously, with being aware, just being, bring your awareness in, expand your awareness wherever you are. Like, are you aware of the cars that are passing outside? Are you aware of people's heartbeat? What's happening? What's the atmosphere feeling like? And holding that and expanding that. That level of awareness really starts to sharpen and bring you in tune with what's happening in this present moment and your relationship to it.
Thank you.
Like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
And mic drop.
It's accountability, being awoke, woke, as my granddaughter would say. Grandma, you're woke. You go, what? It's the accountability is within me. Everything that I do does matter. And so if I'm feeling something's coming from the outside, I have to recognize, no, I have to readdress that inside. So accountability.
Beautiful.
I could take two, but I don't think it's worth it. No, like, again, because I've just always stemmed from, that's where I started from, right? And so what I've loved in the process of awakening has been open to the concepts that there's other things, being open to that, but then loving the journey of seeing how they're interconnecting. You know, learning about light photons and how they travel through certain systems in your body, being open to the historical DNA that transfers from grandmother to daughter to granddaughter, and how those choices affect the energies that perpetuate. It's just not being closed off to the potential of more. And if you ever think that you are, you have to start all over again. And it's a wonderful thing to just never be closed off to that potential.
I love it. You touched on a couple of things there, right? You know, if you're closed off, those are our clues. It's a clue. My daughter used to watch that show, Blue's Clues, Blue's Clues. You know, there's paw prints everywhere. If you're feeling like you're closed off to the potential of something, it's a clue that you get to start right now. What do they call that? Beginner's mind. And we are all, you guys are all talking about that, in awakening for each of us is different, completely unique to you. And I'm so glad you all have a different representation of it, so everybody can understand that. Being with other people, it gives you an awareness of, they're just doing another thing. Oh, they took another step. And then you can. Doesn't matter what step you're taking, doesn't matter what modality you're in or what awareness you're having. And so beautiful. I think along the trail for all of us, awakening becomes that spot where I begin again. And awakening from today without all of this is like, whoa, what the heck, right? Yeah. Thank you. Do you guys have something else?
Yeah, we did have one. How did you change since you decided to be a part of the festival? What showed up for you? Because as soon as you decide that you're going to do something, that's when it starts.
So before you guys even answer that, I literally have that question written down exactly like that. And I love that so much, because there is this awareness that as soon as you intend, you are altered. You know, you're on vacations, places you didn't think you were going to be, or with people you didn't think you're going to be. You're experiencing belief system changes, like everything happens. So I love that. How have you guys been changed and altered by doing this festival?
Well, I know for myself is, from the first moment where we were able to sit down and look at what the potential was and how everything was potentially going to unfold, and obviously with the changes that happened over the year, it's just been this magnet for individuals who have never really reached out to me in regards to all the other potentials, but I have more practitioners that are starting that want to sort of offer those kinds of services because people are actively looking for it. But then clients who I would sit there, and we've always been exceptionally this is for my doctor, this is for my physio, and they're like, do you know somebody who really just works with Akashic Records? And I'm like, I do. I know too. And I've never known them. It just has never come to that connection. Mm-hmm. And it's given the potential to help even more people, which has just been great. So
Cool.
I've been going through a lot of change as well. So it's kind of and I think part of this festival is also expansion in being able to serve more, more people, and to serve more and to become more present at the same time. And lately is really being called to stepping into service, into that, how can I be of service? I mean, we're always looking for that, but it's really kind of like present and service. And the other thing as well is that I've been going through a lot of changes, sorry, is truly understanding that we are all one. Honestly, looking and seeing what aspect of me do you represent, like, and vice versa. And that's become even more sitting in that space of love and non-judgment, because it's like, what are you reflecting to me, and how can I be of service, is what's been coming up on a grander scale.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I can feel that.
So for me, just coming from the water is fluidity. You know, it's being fluid with life and going with the flow, right? With the pandemic, right? It, or whatever you want to use as a term, it's about being fluid. And I think that the fact that you had this idea, the two of you had it, to do this Soulful Awakening, it's the perfect time. It's, everything is fluid. It's all meant to be. This is the time when everyone is actually, you know, seeking internally. They're looking, they're liking me online. They want more information. So for me, it was about being fluid in my life. Whereas before, being in Aries, I tended to be very structured, and things needed to have a system, right? And they needed to fit. And with this, it was like, let's just be fluid and go with the flow and allow the ease and grace to move through every cell. And that's what I have learned in this, is it's the fluidity that we need to have within our bodies, whether it's the lymph or the timing or the flow of how life is meant to be. Everything is exactly as it should be. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
I think it was Nisargadatta that originally first said that every single person is their own universe.
Yeah.
And here we are, our own universes combining, working together. I mean, just imagine the power in each one of us when you look at it from that perspective. I don't know about all of you, but, you know, this is the first year of Soulful Awakening, it feels like there's a foundation that's being built that we're contributing to. So personally, it feels like I'm honored to be a part of forming that foundation and really strengthening that foundation, because I think the potential that we're creating here is phenomenal. It really is. Yeah. So, yeah, that's how I've been feeling about this. Just really happy to be here with amongst all of you.
Thank you.
Well, it gave me joy. I mean, you should not look at the news. You should not go on the internet for any length of time, because it'll be like tilt. Yes, that's right, unless you're watching this. And we got to the point, my husband and I would kind of look at each other after some news break, and we'd say, oh God, thank goodness we're out of here soon. That's not the way to end your line, is it? No. So it gave me hope. I thought, here's a spark. Here's a light. I'm going to follow that light. And lots of people will follow it. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to say that, you know, how exceptional for you guys to understand what was coming and be fluid in the expression of it, and hold that space that we're all our own universe. You know, even in the conversations as we built up to the festival, you'd be like, oh yeah, that fits, and I'd like be on 1 or 2 calls in the whole time, but yet here we are, creating this beautiful foundation. And what an exceptional place for the two of you to know that the world is waiting for all of us. Just thank you. It's really beautiful. Okay. Yes, please. Let's do that. So let's move away from that. They're going to be okay.
How would someone know what steps to take for their personal awakening when it first presents itself?
Oh, I love that one.
David's the mic drop guy. Let's start with him. Nobody else will need to speak.
By tripping over no.
I'm just gonna repeat the question.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is. Let me see if I can phrase this. What steps can we share with people that they can take when they're beginning their awakening? Is that it?
How would someone know what steps
Okay.
to take for their personal awakening when it first presents?
How will somebody know what steps to take? Yeah, I love that.
Well, now more than ever, there's so many people and so many modalities. But when it comes, I think when it comes to really looking within, it's follow your heart. Follow your heart, and it's going to change. My path has changed more times than I can count, and each one of them was right. They weren't wrong. They were right at the time. So I followed a path that was right for me 25 years ago, and it led me to where I needed to go. You know what? Oh, this is opening up. Or, you know what, this isn't holding any energy anymore, and another door opens. Okay, this is where I need to go. So just being really open and fluid and not being rigid in how you think it should be, and waiting, you know, this is how it must show up, because it will never show up the way you think it will show up, ever. That's not the way it works.
Very true.
It'll show up the way it needs to show up for you.
Yeah.
So being open, being fluid, and being in the heart, and recognizing that sometimes it's going to be the hard path. You know, sometimes it's going to be the one that you're dreading to walk down, but it's actually the one that holds the most light. You know, it's the one that we need to go within and you know, face some inner fears or demons, because there's a lot of people that are choosing paths of bypassing. You know,
You always come back into it.
yeah,
It's
it'll always draw
sometimes
you
harder
back
later.
into it. The sooner you can dive into it, the
Right.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Can you speak to a little bit to, you know, somebody who's, you know, new to this? I know there's these like physical awareness or thoughts that you'll have that'll be like, this feels good. Oh, this doesn't feel good, right? Because you're very able to determine, oh, I'm going to go on this path. You have that present moment space. But, you know, somebody new starting this journey, what are some of the things that we can give them as awarenesses or things for themselves that they can start to recognize when they have no awareness of what's the right way to go? You know, can you speak to that a little bit?
yeah, well, follow your bliss. What interests you?
For sure.
Where are you drawn to? Before you go to sleep at night, what are you thinking about? What are your dreams? What are you dreaming about? What's in the back there that you're like kind of wishing, that maybe even you're kind of not willing to admit?
Yeah.
Follow that,
Nice.
because that's the key. And you may think it's obscure, you may think it's ridiculous, but it's not. It's a sign. And there's somebody out there, whether it's here or wherever you're living, that knows something about it. So reach out. Get onto some forums, start talking about it. There's someone that's going to be able to point you in the right direction.
So I'm going to put this question out to all of you too, is what does it feel like, or what do you think about, because you all do this differently, right? When it's not the right thing, when it's not the right way to go. Because I wobbled in that a lot. Should I, shouldn't I? Is it the right way? Am I resisting? Resistance, oh my gosh, what's that? Like, it was just this place. So each of you can share with people for yourselves what it's like when you really know this is a no, this isn't the right way. And sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's big. So if you guys could talk a bit about that.
I was going to suggest 3 things to look at. One is, like David was saying, follow your joy. If it excites you, if it's in alignment, you know it's in alignment with you, because it brings that joy into your life. If it's not bringing joy, if it's complicated, or you're trying to make it fit, it's not the right thing for you. The second thing is resonance. Do you resonate with the right teacher, the right practitioner? Do you resonate with the modality? Maybe it's the modality, but the teacher's not right. When you are ready, the right teacher will show up. So it's resonance, it's following your joy, and then there is a way of finding out what your yeses and your nos are. Absolutely. And usually I try and ask some of my students to get to that quiet space. That, just closing their eyes, taking a couple of deep breaths, and then taking the attention from outside awareness inwards, and then think of some things that they really enjoy. How does it feel within their body? Or does a color show up? How does it feel? And then something that they don't enjoy, how does that feel within their body? And it's really connecting to their heart and their higher self, so finding out what their yeses and their nos are. But if you don't trust that, just follow your joy and see if things resonate. And that's how, and it's like we were saying, there's no wrong answer. Even if you do something that doesn't resonate, the lesson is still there. So don't be afraid to do that.
Right. And don't beat yourself up
Don't beat yourself up, because your soul in one way would have wanted to experience that opportunity, and even that is part of your soul growth. Absolutely.
And it doesn't have to cost a lot of money so that you go, oh, I want to be Dragon 1, Dragon 2, Dragon 3. Oh, Dragon 4 costs $10,000. No. Find it simple, find it accurate, and find simple teachers. Your cat may be your best teacher.
Nice. Love it.
When I'm thinking about like paths and ways that you deal with the processing and finding the right fits, I always laugh when I'm on like Facebook and a friend goes, who knows like a really good sushi place? And like 42 people know the best sushi place. And I'll sit there and I go, they can't all be that good. And so of course, you reach out and you ask those people around you and they give you suggestions, and some are going to resonate really well. Like they're close by, it's easy. And then sometimes your friend goes, there's this like hole in the wall downtown and it's kind of sketchy, but I swear it's got the best dynamite roll you're ever going to have. And you go, I don't know. They're like, I'll treat you. It's that good. And you're like, the opportunity is almost too good not to try. And even though it's not your gut, it's not your first instinct, the opportunity just kind of presented itself. You go to the sketchy place and you have like the best flaming dynamite roll you've ever had in your whole life. And it's in like this basement place in the middle of like Japan City and like,
Now we all want
San
to know where that
Francisco.
is. We're like, that
It
sounds
was
good.
scary, but it was so good.
Yeah.
But every bit of my initial instinct was like, don't do it. You're going to be sick. Like, this is not pretty. But it was so good. And it was just because I didn't turn down that potential opportunity to trust that something was being presented at the right moment. So as much as you want, and there's times where you're going to have 42 different people tell you different things. And they can all be great to those individual people. Some people like Kinjo and some people like the authentic stuff downtown. And there's nothing wrong with any of them. Which one really sits and presents itself for you is kind of a gift in itself too. So.
Velva Dawn, do you have something to add to this? You're like,
Bingo,
sure
yeah.
you.
So that's what I always say is you fail forward, right? I believe you never take the wrong path. I believe that whatever way you're guided is something you need to learn. And for me, it's my body. When my body starts shutting down and my health starts getting affected, then I know I need to change gears and I need to really look at what I'm doing. So for me, that's really where I go is I look internally. It's been my whole thing for 2019, 2020 is I'm writing this book about dating right now, and everyone wants to give me their advice on who I should date and what I should be doing. And honestly, I've had to really just wipe the slate clean and go, what do I feel? I know these are old systems that are in place that you should not do. So of course, I'm the Aries who steps my foot in it and says, well, I'm going to try it, right? So my advice is to really let go of all of the external and listen inside yourself. What resonates with you, just like the sushi, because whatever resonates with you is unique to you because we're all individual, we're all unique, and we're all different. So you can take all of that with a grain of salt, but then just take what resonates with you because we're all different.
Love it. So, just to really just kind of draw some of this in too is what I'm hearing from all of you and that you've all experienced is awareness of yourselves and your parameters for what you wish to experience. And that's something we uncover along the way, I think. And, as Kara was asking, how do we know which steps to take? I think we uncovered the next steps when we uncover more of our own parameters, right? Like to go and, take that sushi in the basement, right? You have a parameter of yourself that's about adventure. But, that whole experience helped you discover that, or you already knew it, or there were some things, right? And each of us, as we're trying to discover which step to take out of the 42, we start to really understand our own individual life parameters, our unique threads of frequency. And that's the beautiful thing I hear from all of you is, right, I'm going to do it in this way and I'm going to do it in this way. And so I think, just is that space of the steps, the next step you take will come from the awareness from the step you already took. And your parameters become much more clear.
so serious about it.
Don't be so serious. Life is meant to be fun. So I'm going to ask one more question, totally that does this, because, I think we're probably needing to wrap up. And I'm going to ask a question that I'm totally curious about. So as I have been experiencing my awakening and my changing over time, time is this amazing fun thing. So I want to query with all of you what you're excited about of experiencing time now. Because time is this loop that's happening for me, right? It's like past, present, future, all in one. I have these moments of, even the tattoo on my ankle, it says, just breathe. I remember reading a meditation that was written by, I'm gonna say this name so right, Thich Nhat Hanh. And it was just breathe, breathe in, calm your body, be in the moment, beautiful moment. I think there's a breathe out and smile in there somewhere. I'm in my time loop. The thing is, I remember when I read that, and then 5 years later, I was sitting in a restaurant with a woman who was transcribing right from him. She was working for him and had transcribed that meditation. And this thing happened and time went, whoosh. And I know that time, as you become more awakened, becomes this fun experience. So totally a question outside of probably anything we've been talking about, but what excites you about how you're experiencing time now? What excites you? Not terrifies you. What excites you? Natasha?
I don't know. You're asking me. I
Yeah.
live in so many different timelines and realities.
Exactly that,
Just
right?
like, oh my goodness, yeah.
Even
Just
just
like-
saying that there's
Yeah.
so many timelines and realities. I want people to understand that things become exciting.
Okay, I'm actually going to talk to an meditation that David did that helped me understand time. Okay, so I used to
You're blaming me.
I'm blaming you. So I went to one of David's meditations maybe about 2-3 years ago, and I remember sitting and I wasn't actually listening to David. They took me off somewhere else. But that's so David put us into this. I think it was one of the Egyptian ones that you did, and I was sitting in that meditation, and all of a sudden, I saw myself involved in this little bubble. And I followed the bubble, which ended up looking like I was somewhere in space, and it ended up looking like, when you see the Milky Way, you see those white stars so it's almost kind of like it connected to that bubble, and it spiraled all the way into the middle of nowhere in the galaxy, and I felt like I was going through one of these wormholes. But what happened is, when I went through the middle, this is why you have to push your boundaries and just go with the flow. When I went through the middle, it was almost like I was sitting at the head of an octopus, because that spiral was just one leg. And as I was at the head of the octopus, I saw all the other spirals with a little bubble at the end. And those were all my past lives, my parallel lives, and everything happening right now, at this very moment. But I could only experience it when I was one in the whole.
Yeah.
But all of those were all happening right now. So time really does become irrelevant when we're working in all of these things. But also, the more awakened you are, the more you're in touch with your spirituality, the more you can play with time.
Yes.
Because you can stretch it or speed it up. Because once we start vibrating at that, and there's no right or wrong, low or high, but once we start vibrating at a certain frequency, there's less matter to work with. And that's where the true creativity comes in creating the world around us. And I've done that before, where I've been like, I'm going to be 20 minutes late, and I ended up, because I have to, drive around town, but yet I'm 5 minutes early. And it's like, how did that happen? And it's incredible when that does happen. But time for me, I don't know if that's the best way, because
Absolutely.
I spend so many, but the thing is,
I just want people to speak to it because it's so much fun.
Because literally, I woke up in cold sweats at 3 o'clock in the morning, one morning going, holy moly, if time does not exist, have I been totally BSing my clients and jumping into their past lives? Like, seriously. And the second one is, do I need to commit myself? Because I was like, it was one of those, and then luckily that meditation helped me to kind of like figure things out in that kind of a space. But it is a bit of, but even on Earth, like I have a client that I'm talking to on Tuesday night, and she's in Australia, it's Wednesday the next day. So it kind of like she's already in the future, if you think of it in a linear way.
Absolutely.
The other way that I like to explain time, you can tell I love this subject.
I can
is
tell,
like,
yay.
it's like Netflix. Look at Netflix. If you find one actor or actress, actors, I think they're all cool now, is like they might have many movies, but they're all available on Netflix. And you can watch that movie, you can start it at the end and rewind it.
Yeah.
You can start it at the beginning, but all of her or his movies that he's acted in, they're all available. They're all right there.
Love it.
In a simple term.
Love it. It's all right there. I just love this.
I dare anyone to go next.
Okay, well, I'm going to try. Because there's one thing that you said that really resonated. My friend Fauna, which you guys were at her place yesterday, always said to me, if anyone can bend time, you know, Velva Dawn, it's you. And I tend to do that, having, you know, my publisher call weekly, is your manuscript done? And I think I need to bend time, because how am I going to fit this all in? And literally, it does work where it's like everything stops moving. And when you're in the flow, everything flows with fluidity, right? And all of a sudden, everything is all done, right? And it's like you have said before about appointments. I have intended that before too. It's like, I'm going to be late. How can we do this? And then you arrive and you're early, and you think it really does work. The other thing that I want to speak to about time that I've been noticing in my quantum field is the more that I'm in resonance with my heart and the joy, the more that it increases everything. And time does not matter. Time is not even part of the equation at all. And so I'm just waiting patiently until the old systems catch up with the fluidity of the quantum field that we're now all beginning on the planet to emit, where those old systems no longer are vibrating at all. You know, and we're moving into that place of flow. I tried to put that into words from my head.
It was great.
You know, because I'm in that place. So
I just thought I'll challenge you all with language.
anyway, so
Yeah. No. Anyone else?
I love the concept of time.
Right. So fun.
I actually, good 10 years ago, started doing this meditation, and I did it with a couple of friends, and we did it on like New Year's Eve. And the download just came to me. I said, what we are going to do is we're going to travel 1 year in time. You are going to gather all of what you would have learned in that 1 year on physical Earth, and we're going to bring it back right now. Why not? For me, time is a byproduct. It's not real. It's a byproduct of us that is here, not here, as we are projecting ourselves into this reality. And I really started getting interested in it when I took a group to Peru. And during one of our days off, we were in Cusco, and we all kind of set our watches, and it was like, okay, we're gonna, let's meet back here. We're at, if you haven't wandered Cusco, you have to. It's amazing, the streets. We said, okay, we'll be back here at this specific time. Everybody set their watches, and we all went off. And we all came back at the appointed time, and we all looked at our watches, and the watch I was wearing was exactly 30 minutes ahead of everybody else's. And I was like, well, how's that possible? Because we all set it together at the same time. I thought, what happened? Where was I for 30 minutes? That's when I started going, okay, there's something really interesting here. Yeah.
Where were you for 30 minutes?
I don't know.
We want details.
Yeah, so do I. But I've always been, if I got to be somewhere at 4:30, it doesn't matter where I am or what I'm doing. I've always been able to arrange my physical reality so that I'm actually there at that time, within a minute, my whole life. I just kind of set that intent. It's like, okay, this is when I need to be there. And everything will fall into place for me to get there at that time. And it
Again,
almost always
mic drop.
happens.
He's just like, you're just like, that's fantastic. I love it. Does anyone else want to share?
Well, I've got good news. Retirement does exist, and time stops.
The time stops.
So all your work, everything you're doing now, it's hard. And I used to have a mantra that said, keep your head down, Pam, just keep on going, keep on going. And then it takes about 15 years to stop that mantra. And then eventually, you know, it's like, we go, what day is it? What time is it? Did we have lunch? So
I love it.
it's a wonderful sensation as you get older.
Yeah.
So good news.
Perfect. Do you want to? Are you good?
I don't even feel like I could.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna like.
Just-
it's amazing,
It's-
and
yeah.
like, I don't know. I don't even think of time in the sense of what it needs to do, because everything that happened before has led us to what's going to work today, and everything that's working today is going to either resolve or benefit from what we've learned in the past, and as well as it's going to build for you what you need in the future. So I don't worry about it in that way.
Perfect. Thank
So-
you. I love ending on this note because I really feel like when you guys started talking about this festival, when it first started in that space in your dreams and your guidance, from that moment to this moment, you have created this time warp, this space and time that has adjusted how we all see ourselves. And I love what you were saying about, let's go a year out. Well, let's all take everything that we've been experiencing this weekend in this conversation. And I can feel the energy. You all feel this energy is so magnificent. Well, let's take that a year out to next year and the festival next year. And imagine how many people are going to be in this vibration with us. And allow that to be right now. And what we want to experience between now and then to expand into the awakening of our souls. So I love that we're ending in this space of that, because we're not ending. In a blink of an eye, we're going to be next year in this conversation in a whole new awareness, and it's going to be like that. So thank you guys for being on the panel and sharing your incredible wisdom. I know everybody is going to feel extra lucky that you guys did this for us and brought a whole new vibrational consciousness for this festival and this space. So thank you all.